Ryan's life looked perfectly fine from the outside: a stable job at a corporate office, a small but well-furnished apartment in a busy American city, a predictable routine, and a calm smile he wore in front of everyone, but inside him lived a quiet emptiness he couldn't explain to anyone, not even to himself. Every morning when the alarm went off, he stared at the ceiling wondering why life felt like it was moving but never really going anywhere, and every night before sleep the same question echoed in his mind: if everything is okay, why don't I feel happy? He stayed busy all day, answered emails, attended meetings, talked to people, yet deep inside there was a constant feeling that something was missing. As if his mind were a house filled with locked rooms whose doors he had closed years ago out of fear. He didn't remember when he learned to ignore his emotions, when he decided that showing fear meant weakness, or when pretending to be strong became his only way to feel safe. These lessons, learned quietly during childhood, slowly turned into habits. And those habits eventually became his burden. Nights were the hardest, because when the noise of the world faded, the noise inside his mind grew louder: unfinished dreams, old memories, the fear of failure, and the painful realization that he might have lost himself somewhere along the way. One night, he dreamed he was standing in his childhood home. The rooms were empty, silent, and in one corner sat a child, not crying, just staring at the floor. When Ryan moved closer, he realized the child was him, his younger self, the one whose feelings were never fully heard. He woke up with a heavy heart, understanding for the first time that maybe he wasn't disconnected from the world, but from himself. After weeks of restlessness, Ryan finally decided to seek help, and when he sat across from psychologist Dr. Miller, he spoke honestly for the first time without trying to sound strong. "I don't know what's wrong with me, I just know something inside isn't right." Dr. Miller gently told him that he wasn't broken, only disconnected from himself, and that sentence stayed with him. Through therapy, Ryan slowly began to understand that the fear of rejection, failure, and loneliness inside him wasn't the enemy, it was simply pain that had never been allowed to speak. When he finally let himself feel those emotions, he cried, he broke down, but for the first time he also felt lighter, because he wasn't running anymore, he was facing himself. Change didn't come suddenly, but it came deeply. Instead of fighting sadness, he began to listen to it. Instead of judging himself, he started asking what his emotions were trying to teach him. His job stayed the same, his responsibilities didn't change, but he began to understand that his work was not his identity, it was just a part of his life. Some evenings still felt heavy, but now he didn't drown them out with his phone or TV. He sat with the silence, realizing that suppressed pain doesn't disappear, it only grows louder over time. One day, he opened an old journal from his college years and noticed how his words slowly faded over the pages, as if his voice had been shrinking, and in that moment he accepted a hard truth: he hadn't just compromised with the world. He had compromised with himself. He also began to look at relationships differently, friends he laughed with but could never truly be himself around. Connections that drained him instead of comforting him, and for the first time he asked honestly which relationships brought peace and which had become habits. Sitting alone in a city park one evening, watching strangers walk by, he realized everyone was carrying their own invisible battles, and that thought made him feel less alone. Standing in front of the mirror that night, he quietly said to himself, "You're okay, even if everything isn't." It wasn't a perfect sentence, but it was true, and that truth brought him peace. There were still days when old patterns returned, the need to prove himself, the urge to control everything, but now he recognized them. He learned that life isn't about completely fixing yourself, it's about understanding yourself. The locked rooms in his mind still existed, but their doors were open now, letting light move freely in and out, and that was his greatest victory. He was no longer fighting himself, he was listening. And this is where Ryan's story doesn't end, because stories like this never truly end, they continue inside every person who smiles on the outside while searching for themselves on the inside. And when someone finally gathers the courage to open the locked rooms of their mind, they don't find anything frightening, they find the person they've been trying to understand all along. Because the day you become friends with your own mind, life stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like an honest conversation.